What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today's going to be a very special video. I had mentioned this in my Beetlejuice review. I wanted to do a video just talking about my experience of getting to be an extra on the film, just getting to see some of the filming up there in East Corinth, Vermont, but also in Melrose, Massachusetts as well. And so this is going to be that video. It might be a little long because I'm going to kind of go through both things, and I got a good amount to talk about, so please bear with me. But if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about this insane experience.
Now's my chance.
So I remember just finding out that they were going to be filming Beetlejuice in Vermont, which is about the location. East Corinth is like hour and a half, 2 hours from me here in New Hampshire. And so I remember, I think I was reading a Fangoria magazine or something, and they had an article on Beetlejuice. They were talking about, I think it was the makeup artist talking about working on the film and how it was, at least part of it was filmed in East Corinth, Vermont. I didn't know that, and so I was like, wow, that's not too far from me. I definitely want to make a trip at some point to go check it out. And so as I was kind of researching this, they had announced Beetlejuice was in the works, and they were actually going to be filming back up there again. And so I was like, okay, I decided at that point that I wanted to, if they announced that they were going to be using extras for any of the filming, that I was definitely going to submit, because, I mean, to work on this film would be a dream come true. And so that's what I did. I went on, it was bostoncasting.com. It's, one of the sites where you can submit to be an extra or just work on, films. They'll post different things for movies and TV series on there. It's all kind of just luck of the draw, though. You submit your information, and then if they like you, they pick you. A lot of people can submit for it. I remember for Hocus Pocus 2, that was through Facebook where I found out about that one. But submitted for that, and I'd heard that there was like 30,000 people that had applied or something crazy like that. And I ended up getting selected, which was insane. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to submit. Fingers crossed. You never really know until basically a couple days, if that, before filming for when they need you, because they don't really know exactly the day-to-day thing until it's like right before. So I submitted, and I had went up there I wanted to go see some of the building of the sets and things like that. And so I went up there with my dad. We went to go check it out, and you got to see some of the construction of like the bridge that wasn't done yet. You got to see some of the construction of the storefronts, the facades that they were building for those, and then the house itself up on the hill, because that wasn't there. They built that for the film. So kind of got to see some of the early photos for that. And then it was shortly after, this was July of 2023, I got the email that, they're saying, hey, we want you to see if you're available for a townsperson role in this film. And I knew it was Beetlejuice, so I was like, yes, I will definitely be there. And so I got to go up there for a day of filming. Now, when this happened, the night before, there ended up being some really bad storms. There was downpours, and Vermont just really got hit, especially up in that area. So hearts go out to all the people that were affected by those storms, because I know it was really crazy just from the posts and stuff that I saw on Facebook from the Beetlejuice fan page. They were telling people, it's nuts here, backyards and stuff all washed out. And so obviously that was the most important thing. A lot of people were affected by that. It was it's a kind of a small little town. There's really not a lot of people there. So wanted to make sure that they were okay. And I was kind of like, man, is this going to happen now with all of this going on? And so I was emailing them back and forth, hey, is this still on? And they said, yep, we're still planning to shoot and everything. I was like, okay. So woke up the next morning, really early, didn't see anything about a cancellation or postponement. So I was like, all right, I'm going to drive up there. Worst case, I get to a road and there's water covering it and I can't get through, and then I'll just turn back. But I figured if I don't, then I'll be disappointed if they end up filming and I ended up turning around. So I gave it a shot, went up there. You can definitely tell the roads were flooded from the night before because there was debris and everything. But I was able to get up there to the base where, we went and did our hair and makeup. We got our costumes fitted and everything like that. And so that's always really exciting, just kind of getting there and being like, okay, this is a real thing. And so, once that was all done, then they brought us over to the actual set in East Corinth. It's pretty much just like this one main kind of road, this strip. And so we were over there. I was wearing a blue denim jacket. You can see me in the film. I mentioned that in my review, which was really cool. And it was, this is July in New England. So it was about like 90 degrees, I believe, when we were filming. So initially, the townspeople, or at least most of the people, everyone had cars, and they're like, okay, so they put fake license plates on all of our cars to make it look like Winter River, Connecticut, because this is in Vermont. So they did that with like little magnets, and they did it on mine. And then they were going around asking, like, could we use your cars in the actual filming? And me being like, I am down for anything. Let's go. I volunteer for this. And so my car actually got to get used in the filming of this movie as well. Even though you can't see it in the film, basically what happened was, so the scene where Jenna's coming out of the bridge, she's coming out. There's a couple cars that were, in front of her, filming her coming out, so you get that angle. And then on the main road, there was, cars going down to kind of make it look like it was a main road, traffic going by. And so I was waiting there, and they gave me a cue, and when I did, I drove down the road just to kind of go by her as she was coming out. So you don't see me, but I was nervous as shit. Even though it was basically just driving down a road, turning around, coming back. It's because, it was a film, and you don't want to mess anything up. You don't want to be the reason that they have to do a million different takes because you screwed something up. And so it's like, I'm sitting there, they gave me a walkie-talkie in the car, but I'm sitting there ready to go, and I'm just like, oh God, please don't let me mess this up. So that was a really kind of a stressful experience, but it was a lot of fun because I had never done anything like that on any of the other projects that I've worked on so far. So that was a whole thing. We ended up doing that, did a couple takes of that. And I was like, okay, so that was cool enough for me. Just the fact, getting to be on this film, on these sets, get to be on a Tim Burton set. I grew up watching the guy's films, was a huge influence on me. So just being there was insane enough for me. So after that whole thing, then they're like, okay, they bring us all back, and they're like, all right, we're going to shoot some scenes, kind of in front of the different stores here. So we need people to, to line up. And the one guy, I can't remember his name, but he grabbed me and he's like, all right, I'm going to have you sit right over here. And so I sit down in front of the coffee shop that's in the film. But if you guys had watched the original movie, that's the Maitland store from the first movie. And so I knew that. I'm sitting in front of the Maitland store. I am like, is this even real life right now? I was just nerding out on the inside. And so I'm sitting there, I got my jacket on, and then I'm eating some, like a muffin. And then there was like two other people to the side of me. There was a guy and a younger girl that were supposed to be coming out of the store, walking down the steps. And then there were some people on the inside of the shop. Now, that shop, like I said, it was just a facade. There wasn't like an actual store. So there was pretty much like the windows there. There wasn't a whole lot of room for people to move around. And from some of the people that were talking to me on the Facebook page, they said it was pretty warm inside. So God bless you guys. That must have been killer to film inside there. But it was really cool just to see on the outside, everything like all set up and all that. Now, when they did the actual filming of the scene, so Jenna, she comes out of, the bridge, and then she starts pedaling down, and she drives right by us. So she was right in front of me. It goes the one way. They ended up having her come back, the other way a couple times as well, just to, try to get, which way they wanted to see her, riding down the street, get different angles and things like that. They'll do a million different takes just to kind of to have options to pick from. And so when she was coming down the one way, she actually stopped right in front of me, stopped, waved at us, and I was just like, holy crap, what is going on? I had Jenna Ortega right in front of me, probably 10 feet from where I was sitting, and Tim Burton actually came over at one point, and they were walking, and Jenna had mentioned something about, this is the Maitland store, right? Guys, and I'm sure you could probably tell, my mind was just blown. I'm like, holy shit, this is nuts. And so we did that. Luckily, where I was filming too, with it being 90 degrees, I had a little bit of shade like over me, so it actually wasn't too bad. But by the end of the day, I did have a sunburn on my face, so I was like, I burned pretty easily, so that's not a surprise. But anyways, yeah, so we ended up filming that, and God bless all of the people. So they were actually letting people watch the filming, which was really cool because I feel like that's not super common, especially big movies like this. I mean, to a degree, if it's in a public place, it's kind of hard to block people from seeing some of that stuff. But it was really nice that they let people watch, especially people in the town. And obviously, I couldn't take some of these pictures. So some of these pictures where you see me in the photo, those are from people that posted them on the Beetlejuice page. Thank God for you guys posting those, because it's just a nice little keepsake for me to, proof of me being in the film. Like now I can see myself in the movie, but beforehand, if I didn't make it, I was like, well, I at least got these photos and videos to kind of show, that experience. So thank you guys so much for doing that. That really means a lot for me. I was able to grab quite a few, and if anyone else has any more that you haven't seen in here, feel free to, let me know like in the comments or something, and like I can send you like over my email or whatever. But yeah, so that was wild. It was just kind of weird. Like I'm sitting there eating this muffin, and you just see, because I'm sitting there watching Jenna go by, and you just see all these people with their cameras and stuff watching you. And when you're someone who's not an actor, like I've done a couple I've been an extra on a couple films. Having all these people with their phones and their cameras pointing at you is a really weird sensation. So it was a really weird experience, but it was a lot of fun. And so after all that was all done, I filmed for the one day. It was just there the one day, but then I decided to come back and got to watch, some of the filming, because it's a once in a lifetime experience. You don't know when the next time something like this is going to come around. So I stayed up there, was watching as much of the filming as I could. I got to meet some really incredible people up there, people from the town, people that had traveled from other areas to watch some of the filming, fellow Beetlejuice fans, Tim Burton fans. I'd become friends with some of you guys like online. You guys know who you are. You're awesome. And it was just, you could just feel the excitement in the air. People were so excited to see all of this go down. And so we got to watch that. They did some filming up at the house, and no one, if you weren't in the scene, there was no way for you to get up there because that was someone else's property. And so there was another area, it was like a historical society that you could see an angle, a view of the house. And so we were down there with like our cameras and like phones, watching from down there. And you could see like Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Justin Theroux, Jenna Ortega was up there, and so they were all filming up there, and God bless the people that were doing those scenes, because it was hot as hell, and they were wearing pretty much all black for the wake scene. So I can't imagine. I know someone who did some filming for that scenes, and yeah, that, I don't know how you did it, but I mean, I'm sure it was worth it in the end. But those days, I'm sure were intense for sure. And then at nighttime, we got to see some of the Halloween scenes. So when they show Justin Theroux's character like getting into the car, that was that was on that main strip there, and seeing like some of the trick-or-treaters. That was all done one night. They were shooting. This was right before the strike, so each night was shooting pretty late. And the one night, I feel like they were trying to kind of give people the hint that they wanted everyone to leave so they could film some of this stuff, because they kept just pushing the time back of filming. Eventually I left because I had seen quite a bit, and I was like, it's a 2-hour drive for me. I had to get home. So I left eventually the one night. But it was just cool, so cool to see everything decked out in Halloween, all the lights and stuff, because it was the middle of July. And so seeing that stuff, it just made me really happy, being a big fall and Halloween fan. And but yeah, and then seeing all the people there with their different signs and people wearing shirts and stuff like that. It was just a really fun experience. We got to see some of the actors. They would get their hair and makeup done in one of the houses there, and then they were brought up in a black SUV up to the filming locations. The people were carrying umbrellas, so that way you couldn't take pictures or anything of them, which I totally understand. So that was kind of crazy to see, being in a small little town like this. The one thing that I will say though about the experience, so it brought a good amount of people into this small little town. And the one thing that I will say is I do feel bad, because I saw there was a lot of locals that I guess had people, parking on their property where they weren't supposed to, walking all over their property, going into cemeteries where, people had their families buried there and stuff like that. And guys, if you've never been on a filming location or, where it's people actually live there, it's their property. Just please be respectful. Make sure you're not walking all over their property, going into people's yards, or at least ask the people if they're, there, if it's, if it's okay. Just because that's not cool. You don't want to mess people's stuff up, especially like a cemetery. Because I heard like different, like that got like kind of like dug up and stuff. Not dug up, but like vehicles and stuff are going through there and kind of ruining things. So you don't want to do that. Just be respectful. I made sure like when I parked, I was down by the, the store. I was kind of out of people's way, just because, you just want to be a decent human being, basically. So if you ever get the chance, just make sure that you're not causing a ruckus, and you're being a nice person about the whole thing, is what I wanted to say as far as like that goes. Now, the Melrose filming location. So this was after the strike had happened. This was in November, and so I'd heard that they were going to be filming some scenes there because there was pictures posted online of this treehouse. Obviously, at the time, no one knew what this had to do with the film. But I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go and check this out as well. And so I was able to find the filming locations. Went down there. It was like, I think it was like 3 days of filming, if I remember correctly. So this was a lot of the like bike riding scenes. So when Jenna is leaving from the wake, and when she's coming through the bridge, going through the town, they make it all look like this is all one town. This is in Winter River, but half of it basically was in Vermont, and then the other half was in Melrose. And so when she's driving through, dodges like a garbage truck. There's a couple other vehicles that she almost goes into. Then she crashes through the fence and then hits the tree. That's all in Melrose. And so I thought it was just, I had an idea that's probably what they were going to do, but seeing it put together on the big screen, and then when they're sitting in the treehouse and you see the ghost house, just two completely different locations. So that was just, really cool to see all put together on the big screen. But yeah, so I got to see a number of those, filming those scenes, and then, some of the takes that Jenna's stunt double would be in there. Because there was like one of the hills was actually a pretty steep incline, so I can understand like why, they wanted to have a stunt double in there, and then especially going through the fence and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see the stunts all in place. One of the other stunt people, Sarah Irwin, I've actually had her as a guest on the channel. She was Winona's stunt double, and she was there as well. And then, but Jenna did do quite a bit of the filming for, being on the bike, which I was actually, surprised, just because you don't want one of your main actors to get hurt or anything. But she was doing quite a bit of the filming for those scenes. And so, you see some of the videos for that here, just kind of, and again, for them allowing us to film and like take pictures as much as we were, I was really surprised. But it was just really cool to kind of have that behind the scenes for, to have as like a memento, and now seeing how that turned out on the big screen is really neat. Then had the filming of the murder house and the tree house scenes, so that's where Jeremy lives. And seeing that house all done up with the Jane Butterfield, the for sale sign or whatever in front of it, I got a picture with that. And but just seeing that house, I'm sure the people that living there, I'm sure they're going to have probably a lot of, visitors, moving forward. It was a really cool location. And then having that tree house and stuff in the backyard. I thought that was, seeing it in person, I thought it was an actual tree, but that was all, created, all, fake. You can tell, like, I guess looking at it, it kind of gives like the vibes of like a Tim Burton tree. But it actually looked pretty real in person. And so getting to see, that all done up. We couldn't see everything. Like at times they did have it blocked off, so you couldn't see certain shots. And which again, I totally understand. They don't want you to see literally every single thing of filming goes. But from what we did get to see, it was really, really neat. And then when they would kind of break for, lunch or whatever, they actually let people walk onto the sets and take pictures. And so I got to get some really cool shots of, some of the cast chairs, Tim Burton's director chair, and then just, the house and different things like that, which again, very thankful that they allowed fans to do that, because they didn't have to, especially with all the equipment and stuff around. So that made my, movie nerd so happy, just kind of getting to see all that stuff up close and in person. And the first night when they were doing some of the night shots for the like trick-or-treating stuff and stuff at the murder house, that I actually got to meet Tim Burton. So he was getting ready to leave for the night, and there was like a decent amount of people over, in the crowd. And as he was leaving, he saw us. He was about to get ready to go into his car, saw us, got out, came over, and signed for like 2 or 3 people, and I was one of the lucky few. Signed my Wednesday vinyl. The only thing I'm kicking myself about, I wish I had like a paint pen because the Sharpie, it didn't come out the best. But hey, I mean, I got Tim Burton's autograph, got to meet him, and that was insane, and someone got that on video. So thank you again for these people being there, the right place, right time. I really appreciate you. So I got to meet Tim Burton, which the guy, I mean, legendary director, like I said, huge influence on me, you know, growing up, love a lot of his films, his different characters. So, I mean, this experience was just getting more insane, you know, by the moment. So that was nuts. Then the next day, you know, came back again, was watching the filming, and I was so close to getting the chance to actually meeting Jenna Ortega in person. So that day, and again, this is something I'm kicking myself, you know, still to this day looking back on it, because it was me, there was these 2 other people that, you know, I'd met from the filming, and we were talking there, and there was like a barrier where you couldn't go any farther than that. For some reason, we stood a little bit back from the barrier. I don't know why. But if we would have been right at the barrier, basically what happened was there was this family, they had this one girl who I had actually met the previous day, really nice family, and it was her birthday. And someone from the film must have told Jenna, I'm assuming, that it was her birthday, and so all of a sudden at one point, you see Jenna start walking over. She has like her coat on, and she comes over, takes a picture with this girl. I don't know if she signed anything, but got pictures. And then a couple other people in that front got pictures with her as well. Now, as this was going on, I was like, holy shit. I got out my Wednesday vinyl, was going to have her sign it too. And as I was kind of walking over, there was a lot of people at this time by the time that this happened. It was a lot more than just us 3. They started kind of circling around Jenna. And she's not she's not a big person. And so I just kind of saw the look in her face. You could tell, I think she was a little nervous because there was a lot of people there. And she was kind of, started like backing up. I saw that and I was like, okay, I don't want to make her feel any more like uncomfortable. So I kind of stopped there. And then she got into like one of her vehicles and went to brake or whatever. But it's just like, oh man, if I would have been right at that front where those other people were, I mean, there's a chance I might still not have gotten like a photo. But the thought that I could have, I still kick myself as far as that goes. But still seeing her that close was just really cool again. So yeah, just that whole experience, those couple days was like, holy shit. Some of the nighttime scenes that we got to see filming too, they did some like trick-or-treating there, which I believe, yeah, you see that in the film. And then at one point we were kind of walking down the street and I remember seeing the house glowing like a blue and green. And now if you guys have watched the movie, you know that's when Astrid and Jeremy are going into the afterlife, because Winona Ryder's character, Lydia, parks the car, runs inside because she sees the lights glowing. And so I was like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. So we got to see all of that, the trick-or-treating. And this was in November, here in New England, so it felt like fall. It was a lot colder compared to July when it was like 90 degrees. So it was actually pretty freezing a couple of those nights, but it was totally worth the experience. I made sure when I came back for like nights 2 and 3, I was dressed because, you're just standing out there basically for hours, and it gets pretty damn cold. But yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything. I think it was like the second night as far as like the nighttime filming goes. So that first night I got to meet Tim. That second night, they cleared everybody out. I think they just didn't want to deal with because the crowds, compared to what it was in East Corinth, the crowds in Melrose were nuts. There was a lot more people there, a lot more people trying to get autographs too. There were some people with like bags full of items for Tim, and I'm sure probably for Jenna as well. And so it was just a lot big. I don't know if like more people found out about it, on the Facebook page or just online in general. But yeah, there was a lot more people there, and so I think they just didn't want to kind of deal with all that chaos, and so they kicked everybody out. And so I was like, I felt even more lucky that I was able to get that autograph, the first night from meeting Tim. So that's always going to hold a really special place in my heart. But yeah, I mean, just the whole experience, again, just getting to walk around those sets, see everything up close, just kind of because, at that time they had real leaves, but they still brought in some other leaves to kind of, make it seem a little bit more fall. And I think everything they did with that really added to the authenticity, and it translated it. The film, seeing it in theaters, it just puts you right in that fall mood. So they did a really good job with that. But yeah, I feel like I think I captured I'm trying to remember everything from, being on set and then getting to see some of the filming. I think I got most of it here. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the videos and the photos that I, shared with you in this video. I know it was a long one, so if you guys made it to the end, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Even if you guys kind of jumped around, that's cool too. Feel free to kind of pick whatever you find interesting. I don't know how well the video is going to do. I just wanted to do this because I'm a big nerd when it comes to this stuff, and so I thought maybe there would be some other people out there that might enjoy to hear some of the behind the scenes stories of being there, getting to meet some of the people, on set, Tim Burton and Jenna, and just the experience of kind of being an extra on this, this film set as well. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below in the comments. And I also want to hear, have any of you guys ever had the chance to be an extra on a film or a TV series? I definitely wanted to let me know what your experience was down below, because I find that stuff so cool. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.